These were the scenes in 2017 when a Scottish horse called One for Arthur became the pride of Scotland, winning the greatest race of them all, the Grand National. Ridden by Derek Fox, trained by Lucinda Russell and owned by Debs Thompson and Belinda McClung, it was the first Scottish horse since Rubstick back in 1979 to win the big event at Aintree, and only the second to be trained in Scotland. Overnight, the big horse foaled in Ireland in February 2009 wrote its place in racing history. It was undoubtedly the high point in the career of the then 8-year-old bay gelding, but a leg injury put paid to any more racing for the foreseeable future. There was speculation that the career of One for Arthur may be over, and many in the know predicted it would never run in the Grand National again. When Scottish racing began documenting its progress back to fitness, we didn't know what the outcome would be. The aim was to try and get him fully fit again, and if that happened, just maybe, we would see Arthur back racing. And who knows, maybe another crack at the Grand National.
So he's got what technically is known as a strain of the superficial digital flexor tendon, which means the tendon that runs from the back of the knee down to the back of the fetlock or the ankle has been strained, and within that the fibres separate and you get a lot of muck and stuff in there. And the only thing that really cures it is time. People have tried lots of other things and injections and all sorts of things, but we find that the one thing that does cure these injuries is 12 months off, so that's what he's had. Straight after the injury he had a lot of ice and a lot of cold water and trying to take the swelling out of it and the heat out of it. After that he then started walking, and he was walking for a good 3 months. Just a controlled exercise, try and get the fibres to build up again. He then did have a small holiday out in the field, down in the borders in that beautiful summer that we've had, and I think he enjoyed that, and then it was back into training again for him, and again more walking, lots and lots of walking. And we've got a water treadmill, so a lot of that walking was done in water that came up over his knees, so a little bit of extra stress for him to build up his muscles, but still while keeping the tendon nice and cold. The water treadmill is a new addition to our yard. We got it in March last year and we've had some fantastic results from it. Not only does it help joints and tendons like Arthur's had, but it also builds up core muscle strength and builds the horses into being very, very strong. A lot of the young horses that we get are very weak and they just need time to mature, and we find that working them on the water treadmill has built up that muscle. You'll see as they walk they have to flex all their joints and the work is just a little bit harder, but actually because they're in water it's not stressing the joints and the legs quite so much. Certainly I think I'm the only trainer that has their own water treadmill, but it's something that we've used extensively this season and our results have shown that the horses seem to be improving from using it.
Is it exclusive to you, or can other trainers come and use the facility?
No, we're very jealous about it and we keep the facility very much to ourselves, but all our horses that are in training do go on the treadmill. They'll go on it while they're building up and they go on it pre and post race. So it's a much used piece of equipment. It has horses on it from 7:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So after that he then did an awful lot of stamina work, and he was cantering very steady up and down these gallops and also up and down some gallops that we have at our farm. And since then he's started to increase his speed, and we're now at the stage, we must be 13 months on from the injury, and he's now starting to do a bit more fast work. They go up and down this gallop either 3 times or four times, and the more times he goes up it, the better he is. So he's started his proper fast work, and he's now in the final sort of month before he goes racing.
He'll go to Aintree. There's a 3-mile chase, the Many Clouds chase, or there's the Beaches chase, or he'll go to Cheltenham. It sounds as if we're being awkward not coming out with a race for him straight away, but he's very high in the handicap. I mean, if an Olympic runner was making his comeback, he wouldn't be running the Olympics first time, so we try and find the easiest race for him. You're always worried about his legs. Touch wood, they seem very good at the moment, but he doesn't want to have... He's not going to be at his best first time, and so I just want to get a race that he's comfortable in and he runs to a good standard in. The Beaches chase is over the Grand National fences. That's why we're hesitating about that. Does he want to be going round over those fences first time? I think some of these horses, they've got a limited amount of times that they want to jump those fences. We want them to enjoy it. We want them to still have a lot of enthusiasm to go around there. So I want to keep that up with Arthur. So I don't know. I mean, maybe a hurdle race as well. There's endless possibilities. We can only play it each week at a time. He'll work again towards the end of this week, see how he is, and then we'll make decisions with him. The most important thing is that the terrain, the ground that he runs on, that is plenty of water on it.
You've been out with One for Arthur this morning, riding the iconic Grand National winner. What was that like?
Oh, he's fantastic to ride. He's such a character, and he's a really easy ride, actually. So, he's just lovely. Fantastic.
He responds well?
Yes.
To all your commands?
Sometimes.
I was going to say, because some of these horses can be, particularly if they've had a bit of success, and I'm sure they know that they've had the success as well. Is there a little bit of extra swagger there on this one?
Without a doubt, he absolutely loves an audience. I'm slightly concerned that his first run he's going to pull himself up in front of the crowd just so they can feel
just to pose for the camera.
Yes. Yes.
But you've obviously enjoyed riding and working with One for Arthur, and you were doing this before the Grand National success.
Yes.
Did you think at any point that this is a horse that could really go places?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the yard had absolute faith in him. And about 3 weeks prior to the Grand National, so he was being trained obviously with the National. About 3 weeks prior, that some of the lads said to me, "Oh, is he going to win?" And I said, "I'm telling you, if this doesn't fall, he's going to win." And they all laughed at me and said, "Oh yeah, get it on camera." But he didn't.
Not laughing now.
I know.
But I mean, obviously, Lucinda and Scoo, they approach you and for progress reports and things like that. And we're now at the end of November. We're not far away from April. You must be getting excited.
Yes, it is very exciting. I mean, fingers crossed that we can keep him injury free and get there with a smooth run like we did the other year.
Now, welfare of the horse, obviously essential. Everyone, every stable that we talk to, it is incredibly big on it. And as we've spoken to the owners as well, One for Arthur has won the Grand National. Yes, it would be nice if he performs a second time.
Yes.
Even nicer if he wins.
Yes.
But it's not the be-all and end-all.
No, it's not. All we want is them home safe. That is absolutely, for all the lads and lasses working in the yard, everybody absolutely adores their horses. Obviously everybody gets more attached to some than others, but they've all got the person that looks after them, and the welfare of the horse is absolutely paramount. That's all we want, is them home safe.
You've obviously sat on the horse more than anyone else in the world, One for Arthur. How is he like now compared with what he was leading up to the Grand National?
He's definitely got a bit more arrogance about him. He
Swagger.
knows swagger. That's the word, swagger. Yeah, I mean he knows he won, and he thinks anytime anybody comes in with a camera, or they're here to see him. And he absolutely is lapping up the attention. He really, really is. On the gallops, he's always been lovely to ride. He's always been lovely, and he's just the same pretty much on the gallops to ride. Yeah, he's moving well, galloping well. So yeah, like I say, we're just keeping our fingers crossed.
Kelso Racecourse has been the scene of many good days for One for Arthur. He loves the course there, and the course loves him. He was a natural choice to perform the opening ceremony when the brand new paddock was unveiled. The last time he'd appeared at Kelso was when he was given a winner's reception inside the old paddock in 2017. Despite the gale force winds, he clearly loved being back in the limelight.
Well, he's a local hero, isn't he? So he's Scotland's most recent Grand National winner. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more, because I'm optimistic that our trainers are all on a mission now to win all of the big races. And of course, he's a dual winner here at Kelso as well. So many of the punters here will have backed him well before Aintree to win races here.
I think he knows he's good, you know, because he finds things easy and he gets a lot of attention. So I do think he knows he's probably better than the average horse. I don't know how much more he would do, he would know, but yeah, I think he knows slightly, yeah.
Obviously in a horse box heading towards Kelso races and then getting into the paddock, etc. Do you think he was ready to have a bit of a race then? Or
yeah, he did get slightly wound up that day. If you saw the pictures of him going round, he was on his toes and a bit excited, which is good. We feel he's ready to come back to race, and he still wants to be a racehorse, and he will. Well, he's still a relatively young horse for all he's won the National Anthem a year off, so we feel that's a good sign, and he's ready to go on.
And of course, we all know about Red Rum, 2 seconds, 3 firsts in the Grand National. No other horse has won a double apart from Red Rum. Winning it once is hard, but winning it twice, incredibly tough.
Yes, it is now. He was a young horse on the up in his first national, so we were, well, not confident, but we knew we had a live chance, and as I say, everything went to plan, which it has to do for a big race like that. Now coming back for Aintree, it's even tougher now, so we will prepare him the best we can. We will take in probably 2 prep runs and just hope that it goes as smoothly as the last time, and we can at least put up a fight, and he can show his true performance. And if that's good enough to win, that would be amazing, but we'll do everything we can to get him there on the day in the best possible shape.
Time's one of the most important things for these sorts of injuries, and then a very slow and precise rehabilitation programme with lots of scanning of his tendon to make sure that the tendon is repairing as it should. So Eugenio's really been pivotal in that, with myself who supports him. So along with that, he's been on the water treadmill, which is known and helpful to help with tendon injuries and rehabilitation. There's something majestic about these horses. I love it. I think that, you know, the care that these horses get, obviously being a vet that goes around the country, we're very fortunate where we are in the country that the majority of the animals that we do look after are well cared for. But I think unless you come and see, you know, race yards, is when you come and see how well cared for they are here. You know, they get the absolute best of care, and you know, there's very few private owners would say that their vets are in once a week. You know, we're in twice a week, in fact, most of the year into this yard. So you know, these horses, there's nothing that is missed. I do a lot of the heart checks, and along with Eugenio, upper respiratory tract checks. We do track washes to make sure that they don't have inflammation in their lungs before they race. You know, there's so much that goes into making sure that these animals are at the best form that they can be, not just to win races, but for generally, if they are not well and they are not well cared for, they will not race well. So it's the whole package that Lucinda Skew and the team here do so well.
So we're at Lucinda Russell Stables at the moment, just over 4 months to the big day, the Grand National 2019. How confident are you that he's going to be taking part?
Oh, well, look, every day, you take every day as it comes, and it doesn't matter whether they've had a previous injury before or no injury before. You know, with horses, they're biomechanically not made to run as fast as they do. So, and how they do, they've got so many faults. You know, they wouldn't be a Ferrari wouldn't build them this way, put it that way. But so we just take every day as it comes with him and all the horses here, and every time Eugenio and I come up, we look at them individually on that day and see what we have in front of us. So one for Arthur's, obviously, you know, he's cracking on now. We hope that he's responding well and he's working well. So we just hope that continues as is at the moment, and keep our sights set on April.
Quietly optimistic.
Quietly optimistic, absolutely.
Welfare of the horse is and always will be paramount. Yes, everybody wanted to see Arthur back on a racetrack again, and of course Arthur himself, like all racehorses, loved nothing more than to do what comes naturally. But as owners Debs and Belinda had always said, the Grand National winner owed them nothing, and if the injury didn't heal, then he just wouldn't race again. It was as simple as that. At this point, nobody would know how he would respond to treatment. This was a journey into the unknown, and the next crucial step would be back at Aintree on December the 8th, 2018, the home of his greatest achievement, to take part in the Many Clouds handicap chase in an impressive field.
At this point in time, you always get sort of a calmness that comes over you. There's nothing really more that we can do about it. The going seems absolutely perfect for him. Today's just about getting him back on the track, getting him back jumping and galloping, and see how he takes to it. And then it's just really a build-up for the main event in April.
Well, of course, you were looking for soft ground. You've certainly got it. It's been raining here today. The sun's just coming out as well. So ideal for him. But of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's all about getting him around and ticking a few boxes, isn't it, over the course?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only a small field. There are just 4 runners in it. 2 of them are higher rated than him in the handicap ratings, so they should beat him because they all run off level weights. But really, it's not about winning today. It's about getting him back, getting the match practice.
So what will you be looking for?
I suppose I'm pretty sure that he's going to keep retaining the enthusiasm. He's retained all his enthusiasm at home. I'm looking for him to get into rhythm jumping again, and just things to go smoothly, and just to get him into that whole racing rhythm and to enjoy it and to have a good blow at the end.
And I've been told that he couldn't get out of that horse box quick enough.
Yeah, he's loving it. I mean, I don't know whether he knows that it's definitely Aintree or not. I'm not sure, but he's certainly in good form. He always gets a little bit above himself in the paddock, so he's going to get saddled in the stables, and then he can go down to the paddock nice and quietly.
Now it's Tom Scudamore on board this time. Obviously Derek away having his operation, but Tom obviously knows the horse very, very well.
Yeah, he does. He's always been up. He comes up in the summer to school horses at the start of the season, so he's schooled Arthur a few times, not just this year, but in previous years. And I thought it was very nice in the racing post. He says that he's just keeping the saddle warm for Derek to come back, and I think that's a very nice quote.
Of course, before the Grand National, which was his last race,
Yep.
he had a very good winning streak, didn't he?
Oh yeah, the super winning streak. We took him to Warwick. He was just amazing there. He really was. He was fantastic. He made it look so easy, and yeah, I think he could have ran around again after that race. Actually, he was super. So, to be fair, we've always thought an awful lot of Arthur. He's Aintree. He's made for Aintree over these fences. So, fingers crossed that will be the main aim again. Get him there in one piece.
Well, there's lots of dreams, of course, surrounding this big race. We've seen them in the past,
Yeah.
the Bob Champions. There's always a story. And, of course, if he was to get over the winning line first in the big one, if everything goes well, then obviously that would be an amazing thing.
Oh, it'd be a dream come true. To have him just run round and win, once round the national fences, I mean, that's it's still so surreal. It's still something that I don't think it's actually really sunk in for me yet. But yeah, if he could do that again, I mean, it would just be. I don't think you could put into words what it would mean to everyone, to be honest, because it's just been such a long road to recovery and everything with him. So to actually get him back there in one piece, to actually have him here today as well. I mean, it wasn't a huge injury he had, but it's just so good to get him back on the track again.
So is that heart beating fast?
Yeah, it is. I think it beat faster as soon as he got in the lorry last night. But yeah, he's been fine, and he ate everything, and he's drunk everything. He's done everything he's supposed to do. So I'm very happy with him anyway.
He is the pride of Scotland almost, having won that race. And, Lucinda Russell, when you speak to her about him, she almost bursts with pride because she's proud of what she's achieved, she's proud of what he's achieved, and proud of what that horse did for everybody concerned with her stable. And, the races don't come any bigger in jump racing than the Grand National. And for him to have achieved that, it was unfortunate he picked up an injury afterwards. But I've no doubt, he's on the road to recovery now, and he's sending out all the right signals. She'll be just pleased to get him back on track and see how he gets on here. He's got a pretty tough job on his hands today. It's quite a good race. There's a couple of very smart horses in there, but he won't be disgraced. When he won the Warwick National at Warwick, they weren't over Grand National fences. He's a smart horse, and I'm sure they'll be just pleased to get him back on track. And it's all roads, I would think, lead back here in next April when the Grand National is.
Of course, a lot of experts, so-called experts, will say because it's been injured, that will really be a big, big hill to climb now. But it can be done. And, of course, one thing we know about the Grand National is dreams are always coming true.
Yeah, well, every winner of the Grand National's got a story. So his would be a hell of a story if he were to come back and defend that crown. So, I think fingers crossed that it all goes well.
Would you fancy him?
I think not today. I think if he was lining up in the Grand National, it's a different ball game because that's more like a home game for him. But I think today it was just nice to see him back on track.
And we've seen it with Redrum as well, wasn't it? There was something about the course and the race which brought the best out of certain horses.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. When they run in a race like that, they've got to have the right credentials, and he's got them. So, he'll be happiest, I think, when he's back running in there.
Well, looking back, do you still miss those days?
I do, every day, because it's, when you're a jockey, it's a short time window, but you've got to make the most of it when you can.
Nervous moments for the big horse, but in the paddock, he looked absolutely fine. But how would he cope in his first race back? A slow pace at the start of the 3 miles and 1 furlong, and Arthur settled at the back. But at fence number 3, this happened.
As they rise at the third. And very bad mistake by One for Arthur, who's unseated Tom Scudamore. So One for Arthur on his comeback run has blundered away his chance and his rider at fence number 3.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't quite in the script, but it was funny because when he went down to the paddock, he was so lit up, and I think it's just exactly as we were saying, we have to try and get him back on the racecourse and get him used to the whole excitement again. Jumped the first 2 perfectly, and then just was in 2 minds at the third, and made a heck of a mistake. And I think poor Tom, although it goes down as an unseat, I don't think he had much chance of staying on. So, but I've just been back in the stables now, and he's perfect. Jamie caught him at the bottom of the track, and hopefully we'll be okay. And I would think we'll have to have him back out on the track again fairly soon because he certainly needs more match practice.
So not the start connections we're looking for, but the good news was that Arthur was none the worse for his experience. Thanks to Ayr Racecourse, Lucinda took the decision to school him round the track. It was a brilliant opportunity to sort out a few issues, and it proved to be a very constructive day out on the west coast of Scotland. Next up was the Peter Marsh Chase, a shade over 3 miles and 1 furlong, this time at Haydock Park on January the 19th, just under 3 months before the 2019 Randox Grand National.
It's always very exciting. We've done a lot of work with him at home. He's had that racecourse gallop where he jumped around the fences, and I'm a bit more positive today than I was before Aintree, so I just hope that he can run a good race.
Because Aintree was a bit of a disappointment, wasn't it, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, definitely unseating wasn't anything that we thought would happen. You sort of factor in lots of different things, but that wasn't one of the thoughts that we had. But he's come out of that fine. He was perfectly sound and stuff, and we've managed to get quite a lot of cantering into him over Christmas and New Year. And with that little bit of extra jumping, I just wish we'd done that before we gone to Aintree. I think the trouble is with Arthur, he's had a year being a personality and a superstar, and he was at Aintree, he was kind of still looking at himself in the TV than he was concentrating on the fences.
Because Jamie said he's a bit of a diva, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He certainly. But I think he's back to being a racehorse now. I feel that's Ayr sort of straightened him out that way.
What would really please you?
First of all, clear round, and then after that, I just like him to gallop on at the end. I mean, he's been off. I still see this as his first run of the season, really. He's been off for so long, and it's really to get that match practice back into him and get that extra fitness onto him.
They always say you never come back as good as you were, but there are exceptions to that rule, and I'm hoping he could be one. He's still only 10. Again, I've seen him recently at Lucinda's yard. I was at Aintree when he only got as far as the third fence on his comeback. He's now reunited with Derek Fox, who himself overcame injury to ride him to victory in the 2017 Grand National. He could still, go back to what he was, given that they've given him so much time. They've given him more time than was probably necessary. And the fact that he's still only 10 and with very few miles on the clock as well.
This time Derek Fox had recovered from injury to be reunited with Arthur, wearing the familiar colours of the Saltire flag, which he wore when winning the 2017 Grand National. In the early stages, Arthur was happy to stay out of trouble at the back of the field, taking the obstacles reasonably well, although having a tendency to jump to the left. Arthur managed to safely negotiate 14 jumps, but with 4 to go, unseated Derek Fox.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too worried about him being at the back and stuff. That doesn't bother us at all. But it was just he jumped a little bit left-handed, which is unusual. So we'll have to get that checked out at home. And it was just a bit disappointing for him to unseat sort of at the top of the home straight, because I think he probably would have kept on galloping and finished. So that's good. But he seems absolutely fine now. So that's the important thing.
And you had a chat, obviously, with Derek Fox afterwards.
Yeah, he said that he felt fine and he was just hoping that he was going to stay on back up the home straight, but he just asked him for a long one. He just put down a little bit on him. So anyway, these things happen, and at least he's come home fine, and at least it wasn't at the first fence.
On the last day of January, we met up with Stephanie Duff, Arthur's physiotherapist, who was keen to get to the bottom of his habit of jumping to the left.
Well, I think that they've said that he slightly jumps to the left at the moment, and I've not looked at him properly yet. Obviously, we're going to do that, but I would expect he's probably going to be slightly tight somewhere in his back end or possibly his right hand shoulder, and he's jumping away from the tightness. That's what I would expect from him.
Because he always did have a tendency to jump left, but probably not as prominent.
Yeah. I think he's probably just got something. I wouldn't say anything major, or they would see that when they're riding him and he wouldn't be 100% to ride, but there's probably just a little bit of tightness somewhere that needs corrected.
A lot of people would be wondering, is the old injury a factor in this at all?
I don't think so, no. I think he's been 100%. The first time I treated him before he ran, he felt great. He felt probably as good as he felt before he went to the National, which was one of the best I've felt him feel treating him. So, no, I don't think his injury's affecting him at all. I think he's probably maybe been playing a little bit too much in the field or something and just tweaked something somewhere.
But other than that, so there's no real concerns?
No, definitely not. He feels as good as he's felt, yeah. Or he did up until he started, well, probably actually from when he fell. First time he ran, I think he fell, didn't he?
Because that was a bit of a clatter, wasn't it, looking at it?
Yeah.
But presumably, I mean, the fences are very different to the old days now, aren't they? They're a bit more forgiving.
Yeah. And I mean, I treated him after that fall and didn't feel too bad. He was slightly sore in places, which you would expect from him having fallen, but yeah, nothing too bad, so...
So what's the process then when you arrive and you have a session with Arthur? What do you do?
Well, kind of the girls on the yard will tell me how he's been feeling work-wise, if he feels that he's jumping to one side as he is. And I'll come in and just take his rugs off and just kind of assess what he looks like. So have a look to see if he's squaring his shoulders, if he's standing slightly dipping behind or anything like that. And then I'll just kind of start working on him and feel my way around, see how he feels, and if there's tight areas I'll try and release them.
And I guess he enjoys it?
Most of the time. He's actually not one of the easiest horses to treat, to be honest. Some of them, when you treat them, will just stand and go to sleep and be dead chilled out, but Arthur, he'll stand for so long and then I think he gets a bit bored and thinks, right, I've had enough of you pampering me, get off me. So he'll wander around the box and yeah. So he's not the most chilled out horse to treat. But I mean he's not bad, he's good enough.
Arthur was due to run one more race at Kelso in February, but due to the equine flu situation, that wasn't possible. So the decision was made to school him over the jumps at Carlisle and prepare him for the Grand National. Well, Lucinda, we're now just over a week away. It's all building up nicely, but you look so relaxed.
I know, I have to say, in the last 2 years, there have been times when I thought we would never get here, but we've got here, and the really exciting thing is all of a sudden he seems to be getting even better, and everything's pointing to being positive again.
You were always very confident, even when he was in the treadmill having his treatment there. You always felt that he could come back and make history again.
Yes, I think for a horse like Arthur, the Grand National is his race, and it's just, if we can bring him back to be a racehorse, this is the right race for him. But hasn't been a smooth road. We've had a few bumps and potholes along the way, but certainly I think everyone's pulled together. The team here have just been out of this world, from the farriers to the vets to everyone that rides him, everyone that looks after him, the lad that gives him haylage during the day. They've just really pulled together, and I think we've rescued it. I think we pulled it out the fire.
Well, of course, I mean, obviously you mentioned the rocky road there, the couple of unseatings, and the fact that you weren't able to go to Kelso due to the equine flu, this, that and the other. But the last time he was out in kind of semi-public was at Carlisle for a bit of schooling, and you were absolutely thrilled with his performance there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it from the car, I went round behind him, and he seemed to jump so much straighter and with enthusiasm. But the really exciting bit was when Derek got off, and he was just, you're sitting there and you're hanging on every word that he says. Is he going to be happy? And he was just bubbling over. He was just said, it's just amazing. Can't believe how he feels. Can't believe that we've got him back. And it's just so exciting.
And of course, this is the thing as well, because Derek was injured himself, and he's managed to, get back in the saddle again just in time for the Grand National.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this time last year he hadn't really sat on a horse, I don't think, for a couple of months. So it's great that he's been with us on the way, and that he's been with Arthur. He's schooled him plenty, and it's just lovely to have him back on the team as well.
Now, the fact that he hasn't run since Haydock Park, is that a concern for you?
No, not at all. We ran a horse at Cheltenham the other day that was fourth, and he's had a worse year. He's had even less opportunities than Arthur has. So he ran a really super race to be fourth. So I know that Arthur's 2 weeks better than him. So we're quite positive again now.
One for Arthur, of course, is owned by Debs Thompson and Belinda McClung, known as the Golfing Widows, from the Scottish borders. Their decision to buy Arthur has turned out to be one of the greatest of their lives.
To get a horse in the Grand National is just a tremendous thing, but actually to sort of go on and win it, I really don't know how to put it in words, but we were absolutely delighted with this superstar that we've got. We thought when we first bought him, we thought it'd be lovely if we have a lovely Saturday horse, but he's just so special. That was such a special day for us all, and still pinching myself actually that we've actually done it, but it's been great.
For those who don't know the story of how you got involved with racing and how you got involved with Arthur, can you take us through that?
For me, I mean, I've always loved racing, and getting into ownership with racing, I was actually wanting to start riding again, and my other half was a bit worried. He thought, well, it's a bit dangerous, and so he said, Debs, how would you like a racehorse instead of you sort of getting back in the saddle? And it was something I couldn't actually say no to, that one. Now, our first horse, we've got crisscross with Lucinda, and we had sort of a tremendous time with him. He won his first bumper, and we thought, gosh, what an easy game this is. But quickly along the way, we found out it wasn't. But and then it came a point that we were going for another horse, and Belinda and Fraser were at the time, so we pulled our resources together, and we found Arthur at the Cheltenham sales, and we had great fun with him. And then 2 years ago, well, that was just amazing.
And of course the partnership with you and Belinda as well, that's a pretty famous one now.
Well, it is now, yes. I mean, we were sort of, when we were a lot younger, we sort of did pony club and hunted together, and we were at school together, and we just thought, gosh, what will we call ourselves when we sort of go racing? And we thought, for a joke, it was Two Golf Widows, which everybody does know the story about now, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, and it stuck, and yeah.
And the other halves must be absolutely thrilled for you.
Oh, they are thrilled for us, and they're very good. They sort of, not that we want them to stand in the background, but they say, it's Two Golf Widows. Go on, you girls, you go and sort of have your fun. But they are always there at his races when they can be.
There are 40 horses in the race. Every horse has got a story. One for Arthur's certainly got a fantastic story. So's Lakeview Lad. So has Captain Redbeard. I'll be hoping that all 3 horses come home safe, and I'll be hoping that all 3 horses do really well.
Do you know what? If he runs into a place, that would just be absolutely amazing. If he wins it for the second time, wow, that would just that'd be more than dreams coming true. I just don't really know how to sort of put that into words. If that ever happened, that would just be absolutely amazing. But just have to keep our fingers crossed.
And what about the future for the horse?
Well, we'll just have to see how he comes out of the race. He is only 10, so if he comes out sound and healthy, he'll have a good summer break, and then we'll come back for next season, and we'll sort of Aintree, he loves Aintree, so we'll always sort of have that in the back of our minds for a target. But he is a veteran now, so we can maybe target him at some of these veterans races. I don't know, I'd need to speak to Lucinda about that, and obviously my fellow golf widow Belle, I don't know what her sort of thoughts are, but we just have to take each day as it comes, and the main thing is we get him home safe and sound from Aintree.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people would be saying, I wouldn't mind owning one for Arthur after he's finished racing. Don't think he's for sale though, is he?
He's definitely not for sale, but when he does retire from racing, I'm sure we'll find somebody who'll be able to look after him for us and have some great fun with him, to sort of end his days. But he owes us absolutely nothing, and we owe him absolutely everything. So we'll look after him. And
of course, we all know, tongue-in-cheek, he's a bit of a diva. He loves the attention, he loves going out there, he loves crowds, and if he thinks he's going to be ending up for the rest of his life just in a green field, then that's not going to happen. He'll be in demand, won't he?
I think he will be in demand, yes. I mean, I think he'd be bored if he was just sort of put out to field and, did absolutely nothing from that. But, I'm sure we'll have a quite a few new friends if they know that he is going into retirement. But hopefully it won't be for another year or two, but time will tell.
Now, when it comes to the punters, a lot of them go by form, and they'll look in their last 2 races and they'll say unseated. There'll be a big U in there twice. But you're close to the horse, you see him every day, you know what's going on. What would your message be to the punters?
I'd say they're absolutely right. 2 unseats is not ideal, but we've done everything that we can to get him absolutely spot on for the race, and I still think he's got every chance of running a super race.
And of course Tiger Roll is probably the favourite, won it last year as well, and he of course is the other horse who could make history, winning it at least 2 times. Only Red Rum, of course, the fabulous Red Rum back in the 1970s did that over 40 years ago. A lot of people say it can't be done again, but you think differently.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Tiger Roll seems like a freak to me. He's the most fantastic little horse. I've got utmost admiration for him. Totally different type to Arthur. He's a little small ex-flat horse. He won a race over 2 miles, one of the top 2 mile hurdles the other day. Arthur couldn't do that. But what Arthur can do is go for the 4 miles. So if I see both of them coming up the running together, I'll certainly be shouting for our big staying chaser.
What will you be doing on the build-up now to the Grand National Day?
So we've got one more, a little bit of pressure still to come. We've got one more little bit of work to do with him, and then it's a case of just priming him and getting him really feeling, bursting out of himself and getting him feeling really confident. Jamie does our logistics, does our travel logistics. She's worked out about getting him down there, and we're just looking forward to getting him there. I think, Saturday can't come soon enough now.
So it's a big build-up. I mean, how nervous are you going to be on a scale from 1 to 10?
Oh, horrendous. I mean, I think, before, in 2017, we had the pressure of producing a horse for the yard, for the owners, for the True Golf Widows, for Debs and Bell, for Derek, for everyone that's here. Now there's more pressure because the public half own Arthur. People that have backed him before in the 2017, I do feel the pressure about that we're dealing with the national hero, so we have to make sure that we get it absolutely right. But, we've done all that we can, and now it's up to him and Derek to take on the world again.
And with the Grand National, there's always a story, isn't there? Always a story.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've been with us on this story for the last 2 years, but there is always a story, and I think that's just because it's a fabulous horse race. It is an ultimate test, and I think in order to win it and to run well in it, the horses have to be extraordinary, and I'm so proud of Arthur and so proud of what he's achieved so far. Just hope that we can continue the story going.
People are still coming up to me now and saying congratulations, what a great day it must have been, and so it is beginning to sink in that we have gone down in history, and it's quite amazing, but I keep on saying it, dreams do come true. It's been wonderful.
When you bought One for Arthur, was this the dream?
The dream, I think, the dream for winning the National, I think it's every racehorse owner's dreams, when they've got a good chaser, but it was always a dream, never really thought it would happen, but it did to us, and we're just so lucky and so grateful that we've got a wonderful horse.
And they can never take that away from you.
They can't. It's going to be with us for life, which is wonderful.